reports indicate that these are often coordinated efforts involving many individuals and organized gangs. All types of licensed cannabis businesses were impacted: cultivation, manufacturing, distribution, and retail, delivery, and storefront. Cumulatively, these small and mostly equity licensed businesses are now faced with over $5 million in losses. The cannabis industry needs tax relief. Cannabis equity businesses, in particular, need more money and resources. Small businesses and small farmers need help. Piling on and increasing taxes, and now with the threat of robberies and violence, is proving to be unbearable for cannabis operators. When we are faced with targeted attacks, the effects are magnified. Our communities do not have the runway for robberies and tragedies of this kind. We need more protection. We need more funds and resources to improve security so that we can protect ourselves. Today you'll hear from Oakland cannabis business operators and advocates shedding light on the issues of security, cannabis tax amnesty, and small business policy. I'd like to introduce our first speaker today, John Elston from James Henry.
Thank you, Amber, for the introduction. And I'd also like to take a moment as a business owner, as a colleague in the industry, to thank Supernova Women for putting on this event and shedding light on the unfortunate events that we've had to experience here in Oakland and around the Bay Area over the past 2 weeks. This isn't our first go. We are business owners, we are entrepreneurs, we are locals of the Bay Area, we are friends of the Bay Area, and we need the help of the city and the state to help us just to stay in business. Increasing taxes amidst all of the robberies and all of the struggles that we have to go through as cannabis businesses here in the Bay Area, it's hard. And I talk to you not as an individual that takes things like that lightly. I talk to you as an individual that can smile through the good times and the bad, but I have to admit that I've cried because I'm scared for my business here in Oakland. It pains me to have conversations about alternatives, moving my business anywhere except Oakland. But from a business standpoint, it's hard. The week before Thanksgiving, our business was robbed 5 times. I had to watch people run into an establishment where we have a family culture for our team members and the people that we work with. I had to watch as they drug out our safe with our tax money, city, state, federal funds, that there's no amnesty for right now. The business owners are liable for those funds. We're asking not only for tax amnesty, we're asking for effective solutions. Oakland has been a leader in the cannabis movement in the country. That's why we chose to base our business out of the great city of Oakland, out of the town. Because the town has the community, the town has good people, the town has good reputation, and the town takes care of each other. Right now, James Henry, the other brands that we support, we need the help of the town. We're asking that you join us, you ask for the tax amnesty, We ask you that you join us and you ask for the lower taxes so that cannabis products can be affordable, so that we can continue to produce safe products for patients, consumers, and enthusiasts alike. We're asking for your support and your prayers. Our business was fortunate. No employees or team members were on site or hurt in the midst of these events. But there are a lot of our colleagues out there that were not so lucky. And our hearts go out to those family members and to those individuals that weren't so lucky in those robberies and not only had personal property taken, but lives. Brothers and sisters on both sides. We're asking the town to help us and to stand with us in prayer and love. Any information that you have on any of these events. We're asking for Oakland PD to help protect our businesses. We're asking for Oakland PD to come up with real solutions to help protect small, growing, reaching sustainable cannabis businesses in this area. Thank you guys for listening. Thank you for your love, your support, and your prayers. Thank you for your support of James Henry and the rest of my colleagues' businesses here in the Oakland area. I'm going to turn the mic over now to another colleague of mine, or back to Amber rather. Sorry about that.
Thank you.
And now here's some words from Christy Palmer.
Thank you.
Baby bump.
Thanks everybody for being here today. Can you hear me okay? My name is Christy Palmer. My business is Kiva Confections. We established in 2010, so we're going on 11 years. We've been an Oakland business since 2015. And I'm here today to talk about how difficult it is to do business here in the city. The city of Oakland is charging an exorbitant tax rate to cannabis businesses. Why? Our businesses are fundamentally like any other in the city. They're family owned, they're equity owned, they're entrepreneurs trying to make a viable business and build wealth for their families. Why would the city of Oakland want to make it any harder than it already has to be? Why does the city of Oakland insist on starving its business of capital when the industry already doesn't have access to banking? Effectively, the city of Oakland is pushing us out, pushing cannabis businesses out of its city lines. And we all here today, we're the good guys, right? We're the ones trying to do it right. We've gone through the hurdles of licensing, of abiding by the regulations, and that's not cheap. That's not easy. So Oakland, please see that the tax rates here are too high to be sustainable. Yes, the city does need money to support other services, but expecting cannabis businesses to foot the bill is unreasonable. The cannabis industry is often seen as a get-rich-quick scheme, but it is not. That is completely untrue, particularly if you're operating in the legal cannabis market. So our ask today is, Oakland, please treat us like any other business in this incredible city. Let us thrive as cannabis businesses. Let us operate with the same protections and be treated fairly. Oakland, I'll remind you, was one of the very first to have a equity assistance program, and it is seen as a leader in the equity space. Yet we still are being charged and treated as though we have money falling from the sky and we can, we can fund all of the city's problems, which we can't. So our ask again is to please treat cannabis businesses like any other business. If not for a company like Kiva, then please do it for all of the other businesses that are represented here today. Thank you.
Thank you, Christy. And next we have Sawa Ibrahim.
Two babies. Jeez, no. Get at it.
I want to apologize in advance. I certainly don't mean for my words to be inflammatory at all. I am an Oakland girl who loves the city, and the city has made me who I am. But the violence that we're currently seeing as a result of lack of cooperation between our city council and our police department, and every citizen or visitors getting caught in between, is extremely disheartening, especially for those of us who have been not only working in the cannabis industry, but working on redevelopment projects and volunteering and trying to do as much as we possibly can for the good of this city. And with that framework in mind, this is what I prepared to say. My name is Sawa Ibrahim. I am a graduate of Skyline High. I love this city with all my heart. And when we set out to build our business in the city of Oakland, we were required to respond to an RFP that was extremely cumbersome and expensive to complete. And we were required to make promises to ensure the safety of our neighbors, our staff, and our patrons. And we have made every effort to comply with all local and state regulations and have paid a disproportionately high tax rate imposed by the city and state, and paid higher rates for insurance and security as a result of all of the safety concerns. However, our council and our mayor have failed to uphold their duties as clearly defined in the regulations to protect the public health and safety and general welfare of the community, as well as the interest of the patients to obtain and possess cannabis. That is straight from the ordinance, page 1. The promise of ensuring public safety is in the ordinance several times, and the City of Oakland's council members and mayor have completely failed to upheld their end of the agreement. They have failed not only our industry, but the citizens and property owners and the victims of these increasingly violent crimes. The City Council and the Mayor have also failed our police department to provide them with adequate resources to combat these violent criminals, and OPD is often outnumbered and outgunned. It is time that the City Council and the Mayor call of a state of emergency and ask for state and federal resources to help rid our streets of this increasing violence. Today, we're asking that the Oakland business community and other community members join us in a tax strike until such time as the council and mayor act and declare a formal state of emergency. This issue is greater than one industry, and it affects all of us who call the Bay Area home. Thank you.
Thank you, Sawa. And now we have Oakland Cannabis Regulatory Commission Chair Cheney Turner.
Thank you, Amber, Supernova Women, and cannabis community for being here today under these terrible circumstances. It's a very frustrating time right now to be in the cannabis industry, especially for those of us who have championed for equity, access to safe medicine, and coming from that background of compassion, right? We didn't have to deal with this type of targeted violent attacks, on community. We just want people to be safe and smoke their weed in peace and run their businesses, right? But due to the current circumstances of our country and our city, we can't do that. We are at a time right now where cannabis is in danger in Oakland. Majority of the operations that we have here are small businesses, equity-owned businesses, women-owned businesses, black and brown businesses, right? The purpose of legalization and equity was to generate wealth for communities and individuals who were harmed by the drug war. Now these same people who were harmed by the drug war are being harmed by not being protected by the people who are paid to protect them. Multiple people here today have had their dispensaries hit numerous times since 2020. So this isn't a new issue. We brought this issue up last year during the uprising. There hasn't been any support from the mayor, the city administrator's office. They've been silent in providing actual solutions for these businesses. If the city doesn't get it right, Oakland will lose cannabis businesses. And that's not what we want, right? There are other cities that are more welcoming, that have lower tax rates, and that will prioritize the safety of these small businesses. And that's what we want. And so it's actually up to us, right? Support these operators, advocates, and small businesses. Hop on the line, call Libby, call the city administrator's office, and also call OPD. It should not take hours for Oakland police to respond to a violent burglary. People are literally standing by and watching their life's work be ruined. And let's not get it twisted. This just isn't individuals deciding to go and rob dispensaries. This is all organized. It's organized. And so the city needs to get organized in protecting these businesses. These are friends and colleagues of mine who spent years building up their businesses, not just for themselves, but for community. Many of these businesses give back. They give back compassionate medicine, they give back in money, they give back in time, and they do not deserve to be treated like this by the city, who is supposed to be the champion of cannabis equity. So I want to encourage everyone to attend the next Cannabis Commission meeting this Thursday at 6:30 p.m. It's all virtual. And show your support for Oakland Cannabis. Not only are businesses in danger because of the multiple robberies, but we also have businesses who are in collections because of predatory loans as well. So it's a lot of things that we need to get together. And I prioritize people over property, right? But we are also talking about, again, people who've been harmed. And it is up to us. It's up to us to save Oakland Cannabis. If you use cannabis, if your loved one uses it for healing, if you want to see money reinvested back into your community, we have to stand together and hold the city of Oakland and OPD accountable for not doing their job in protecting Oakland Cannabis. My name is Cheney Turner. I'm the chair of the Oakland Cannabis Commission, also founder of Beyond Equity. I'm also an Oakland native. And so I see how regular citizens are just treated on the street versus small businesses. Sideshows receive more police presence than businesses that are being targeted and burglarized. So let's think about that while OPD continues to push the narrative that they need more funding to babysit sideshows, while people are being mugged on the streets and small businesses are being burglarized. We need more, let's demand more.
All right, thank you, Cheney. And next, we have Raven Duckett.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for coming. My name is Raven Duckett Robinson, and I'm founder of Johnny. It's a software company and a California manufactured brand. My licensed cannabis company, Community Gardens, we are social equity operators here in Oakland. We hold licenses in delivery, distribution, and manufacturing. Kiva Confections is our social equity operator and has been since 2017. We're also a part of the Equity Works Shared Kitchen, where we manufacture our products and where it was vandalized and broken into last week. I run Community Gardens with my family. My husband and my cousin, we founded it together. My husband and I just became parents. I had my son last year during the pandemic. He'll be 15 months. This month in December. I grew up in Oakland, so did my mom and the rest of my family. I love Oakland. I see it as an honor to be able to sell weed legally in a place like this. I am literally my ancestors' wildest dreams. With that said, there is a dangerous imbalance in the way cannabis companies are treated by local officials and police and the way we are taxed. Last week, the shared kitchen in which we manufacture our products, Equity Works, was broken into and ransacked. Reports from that night say there was a group of more than 100 cars involved in this incident, and they also stole from and damaged property from several other cannabis industry colleagues. Cannabis companies operating in Oakland pay at least a 6% tax rate, while other non-cannabis companies pay 0.12%. So cannabis companies are paying 600% more taxes than any other Oakland company. Yet, when organized crime organizations target our facilities, we get little to no response and zero compassion from local law enforcement and city officials. Our businesses are hurting. We as operators are scared. Cannabis operators deserve the right to a safe work environment and local support in a city where we pay an exorbitant amount of taxes. But the truth is, we can't make law enforcement do anything. And we can't make the city officials feel anything for us. What we can ask for is lower taxes so that we can fund our own security to adequately protect us. Margins in the cannabis industry are so slim, and the cost to operate a cannabis company is hefty. Without these tax cuts, we can't afford the security we need. We deserve to be safe and protected. We have a family that counts on us and our business to provide. Please support our efforts to lower the cannabis tax in Oakland and the state of California. Thank you.
Thank you, Raven. And Raven is right. We are scared. You know, we have families. As you can see, we have 2 operators here that are pregnant. And we're real people. We have families to take care of. And 2 weeks ago, 4 people were shot. 1 person died. This is serious. We don't want to get shot. We don't want to get killed. Over cannabis, it's more dangerous now than it was before it was legal. Next speaker we have is Paul Simonian.
Do you know him? Light Lounge. Behind Harborside.
Thank you all for being here.
He's got a delivery
Okay, yeah.
service.
Thank you very much for being here. Thank you, Amber and Supernova. I'm Paul Simonian, and I run Flight Delivery as well as Flight Lounge in the community. I've been a resident of the community for 14 years, and I'm a formerly incarcerated cannabis felon. And I prepared a speech to just kind of remark on the current situation. My father, mother, and my aunt were all school teachers, and my uncle was a firefighter. I come from a family that has dedicated their lives to educating the youth and to putting out fires. Oakland is derelict in its duty to do either. During a time when people should be able to be enjoying time with their families, I cut short a trip visiting with my family to come back to the city I love to help put out some fires and to help advocate for the education of the youth in our city that has forsaken them. The streets of Oakland need to be made a safe place to live and to work. Right now, shamefully, Oakland is neither a safe place to live or to work. Many people legally live adjacent to where licensed cannabis activities occur. People's lives are being put at risk every day due to the lack of enforcement by the city of Oakland. The city chief of police has plainly indicated they don't have the resources to arrest and prosecute violent armed criminals with automatic weapons they are instead chasing around town in caravans from one place to the next and playing a useless game of whack-a-mole. That is not policing, that is incompetence. It is my understanding the Oakland Police Department has been under federal oversight and at risk of federal receivership due to its widespread corruption and lack of competence. Why has the federal government not stepped in and declared a state of emergency to keep the streets of Oakland safe from armed thugs? Why has Governor Newsom not called in the National Guard? Why has the Oakland City Police Department not been taken into the federal receivership to clean house and rid the force of all ineffectual officers who are overpaid to do little to nothing to stop violent crime in our city? Anybody who is hosting violent crime or not against violent crime is an enemy to Oakland. That's an enemy to everybody. Let's see. What has, pardon me. Where are the silent voices of the mayor, Libby Schaaf, and several council members, such as Mayor Pro Tem Rebecca Kaplan? Mayor Schaaf, Councilmember Kaplan, we are watching and we vote, and we also know how to pursue recall elections. We also happen to be hugely disproportionate taxpayers to the city of Oakland, paying exorbitant sums of money into your coffers and seeing nothing for it. Your lack of enforcement against burner distributions has caused our city to leave literally millions upon millions upon millions of tax dollar revenue on the table to have slipped through your hands. Those millions of dollars in taxes would of course have been able to have been spent on effective enforcement and prosecution of violent automatic weapon-armed criminals in our city. At the same time, illegal distribution is funneling licensed product out of the licensed market, drastically undermining the industry's market share in the process. Oakland must lower taxes now, immediately. There is no legitimate expenditure of cannabis industry tax dollars other than keeping our industry and community safe from violent thugs and funding local educational programs and grants to provide opportunities for the youth in this city so that they can look forward to a brighter future instead of turning to a life of violent crime, which will rightly wind them up in a jail cell. As licensed operator Tucky Blunt recently said, when he was coming up in Oakland as a youth, it did not used to be considered cool to be a violent thief. Oakland needs to make violent criminals sorely regret choosing our city to run amok in. Incarcerate violent criminals now. Lower taxes now. Educate the youth now. Enforce against illegal operators undermining the industry and the tax revenue collections now. Enough is enough. Oakland has had it. No taxation without representation. Make Oakland a safe place to live and work now.
Oh.
Thank you, Paul. And now, on behalf of Holy Water and the Refinery, Up in Smoke, a poem by L.
This poem is dedicated to all the employees and owners of cannabis companies in Oakland. I saw more than 20 licensed cannabis business go up in smoke in 2 nights. Violently targeted, devastated, exposed. Employees, citizens of Oakland, an industry under fire, unprotected, overtaxed, and looking for relief. Wrapping heads around the aftershocks of alarms blaring in the midst of screaming sirens, shots discharged into the night into bodies on the ground, leaving shelves bare like the branches of this bitter fall. Who were the shooting target of more than 175 rounds, fired by masked raiders in a caravan of 100 cars, forcing officers to draw back, leaving many with no police response. Who lost the cannabis OPD liaison in December when the need for connection and protection has been at an all-time high. Oakside stated that in 2020, the burglars take advantage of moments of social upheaval. They travel in fast-moving caravans and strike in overwhelming numbers. Who employ Oakland residents. One woman pushed into a corner with a cold muzzle to her head, while an organized mob of 30 ransacked her place of work. The only thing they left her with is the trauma she is forced to face. Who are cultivation, manufacturing, distribution, retail, and mostly equity licensed businesses, now dealing with losses they may never recover from. Who are owned by most who spent years growing a legitimate business from the ground up, going from food stamps to donating to food banks, looters unearthing everything they've worked for in a night. Who are taxed unreasonably higher than any other type of business in Oakland, who demand for reduced local and state taxes to redirect funds for protection, to patrol our neighborhoods, to defend livelihoods, to keep employees safe, to stay employed. To all licensed cannabis companies in Oakland, while you are not safe, we are all up in smoke. Thank you, Holy Water, the refinery, and my name is Elle from Mills College, class of 2021.
Thank you, Elle. Thank you, Holy Water, and thank you, the refinery. And our final speaker today is Ramon Garcia.
Thank you, Amber. Take a moment to thank our ancestors and the folks that gave up their lives for us to be here and have an opportunity in this time. My name is Ramon Garcia. I'm an activist, community activist, co-founder of the Equity Trade Certification, a federal certification identifying social equity businesses. Helped create language here to create the equity program in Oakland, San Francisco, lobbying on the state level. When we're talking about equity, we're talking about equality, we're talking about equity in housing, in healthcare, in food, in economic opportunity. I've raised in Oakland since 1976. I watched what the war on drugs did to this city, to generational wealth and opportunity for Black and brown communities. I watched West and East Oakland get decimated by the war on drugs. I'm standing in front of the federal towers behind us that were created to destroy the Panthers and La Raza and the American Indian movement that was out here fighting for community. I say all that to say this, right? We're talking about taxes and we're talking about public safety. But more than anything, we're talking about economic, educational, health care. We're talking about equity and equal access. My plea today is less to OPD and less to the city. My plea is to us as community members, as the people that pay their salaries, right? With our taxes that we pay, over $225 million have been collected from cannabis in the state of California in the first 3 quarters. I would challenge you to find another industry that's taxed at 43% and giving that much to the state of California without access to anything. No access to loans, no access to the Small Business Administration, no access to banking, no access to any kind of assistance. Yet the reason why we created the equity program is to recreate the opportunity to get rid of the damage that the war on drugs did. And Oakland was hit very hard by the war on drugs. It was a center for this, right? So we've asked our politicians, we've asked for assistance, we've changed policy, we've protested. Our dollars are going to services that we're not receiving, and I'm not gonna reiterate it because you've heard the stories. Like, this is massive, right? And it's not just here, it's all over the state. We're talking about small farmers that got into this for medicine, so they can create clean medicine, grow their own food, have access to clean water, everything having to do with what we're talking about, right? And those are the people that are being taxed the hardest. Those are the people that are being asked to repair the damage that fake policies created. I lived in Oakland during the rioters, the Jump Out Boys, we called them. The reason why OPD is under federal watch is because those police were pulling over black and brown people, were jumping out of U-Haul trucks, robbing dope dealers for their money and dope, and then falsifying charges against them, right? It's why I fight for what I fight for. Even being an activist, I got pulled over 3 times a week in Oakland riding in a '68 Mustang. They checked the numbers on my car. This is not about defunding the police. This is about our taxes going to resources, the after-school programs. It's about us being able to build a business and create the change that we want in our community. It's about us being able to afford to pay our kids who are coming back to college, from college with degrees, a living wage. They're coming back and they have to work for $15 an hour at Amazon. And then you wonder why they're running around not giving a care about anything because they're trying to do things right, but they're getting $15 an hour wages, and as everybody here knows, you can't live off that in California. You can't live off that in Oakland. These people who own these small businesses, these people that work at these small businesses, they're not getting the opportunity to be able to buy houses. They can't buy houses in the Bay Area. They can't own their community. They can't feel any kind of ownership for their community. If they feel ownership, then why would they feel motivated to do something good, to hold on to it? They don't see themselves reflected in our policies, in our opportunities, in our education, on the streets. I watch police respond 30, 45 minutes down here, but it takes 5 hours in East Oakland. It's about failed policies. It's about things that have existed a certain way. And honestly, it's up to us to demand more. We pay their salaries. We need to demand it, right? We need to make sure that they are moving and doing the things that we're asking them as a community to do. We asked them to legalize this industry. They failed to do that. We asked for safety and banking and equal access to healthcare and affordable jobs and affordable housing. Very little done, just corporate interests being put forth. At this point, we need to demand. We need to use our dollars to demand that. We need a state of emergency in the cannabis industry. This is about black and brown people. This is about small businesses that care about their community and want to make a change, not being given that chance and being treated like criminals. We pay our taxes, like I said, over 200 million to the state of California. Oakland has not lost a budget with their police. We haven't taken any money away, but yet we have less services. We need to be represented in every part of our society. We need to be given equity in that. We need small businesses in San Francisco, they want to promote business. They promoted technology to get Uber and Salesforce. Guess how much tax rate they were charged? 0. City has a responsibility to promote this. We've been talking about taxes in Oakland for 4 years. At 10%, it was the highest tax rate in all of California. It still is. You heard that. Like, why is there a disparity? Why is this, unlike oil or alcohol or tobacco that's taxed at 0.02%? Like, they're doing it because they think we're millionaires and that money is available. We have to demand more. They need to see us for who we are. We're people in this community that are demanding equal access to healthcare, to housing, to education, economic opportunity, and safety. We pay this. We need to be able to give these youth something to look forward to. We need to be able to make that change in our communities, and we're not being given or afforded the respect for the work that we're doing in our community. That's a lot of money. City of Oakland can move. The state of California can move. We begged for the governor's office to drop the cultivation tax, to drop these taxes. Like I said, 43% or more is what we're being taxed. There is no industry in the world that can exist with that amount of tax. Period. So let's not, it's beyond just cannabis. It's we're being treated like criminals. We're being asked to fix a problem that we didn't create. I'm done with asking. I'm demanding. I need Oakland, LA, San Francisco. I need the state of California to stand up and demand what we've asked for. We're not asking for more than what we should expect to ask for. We're asking for equality and equal representation and equal opportunity. Please spread this in your communities. Please share this. We're in a state of emergency. We've got farmers killing themselves. We've got small business, black and brown businesses dropping out of this left and right. And then all that's gonna be left is big tobacco that's coming next year and big alcohol. Like, that's all there's gonna be left. And we've seen what the corporatization of our resources has done to our community. Like, look at our food, look at our healthcare. Has it helped? You got a guy that owns a company that can go into space and fake his workers that are getting paid $15 an hour and can't even take a break for the trillions of dollars it took for him to go to space just so he could do it. We need to demand more. It's on us to demand and hold them accountable for how they spend our money. Please, folks, like, it's a serious situation. We shouldn't have business owners being told by police officers to shoot at looters. We shouldn't have security guards being told, well, next time they break in, just shoot at them. Over property? I'm gonna end somebody's life over property when all you had to do was respond and deter them. When all you had to do was do your job. You get paid that much because you decided to take the risk to be a police officer. Do your job. We have city council members that are supposed to be representatives of our community. Our community needs to demand and ask them to do the job. Represent our community. We have a governor and they do what they want. They give to big business until we yell loud enough and demand them to do their job. Represent the community, Give us equal access and opportunity, period. Thank you.
Ramon.
Thank you, Ramon. So you've heard the calls, you've heard the cry, you've heard the stories from the operators. And we're calling on Governor Gavin Newsom, Director Nicole Elliott, Mayor Liz Schaaf, City Council, the City Administrator's Office, Greg Minor, OPD. Listen to us. This is our cry for help. Help us. We're not going to hire people and arm them with AK-47s and put them on the roof. That's not our job. That's not why we started to sell weed. We didn't decide to get into cannabis to kill people. We're here to provide medicine and improve people's lives, not to take them. Thank you for coming today. Supernova started a fund in 2020 during the civil uprisings and the unfortunate murder of George Floyd. We started the Cannabis Equity Relief Fund. We raised $30,000. We gave that money to social equity operators that suffered damage from the riots and from the opportunists that decided to come in and steal from folks. We're gonna start that again tomorrow during Giving Tuesday. So please support the SURF Fund, the Cannabis Equity Relief Fund. Please help the operators that have suffered losses. And please call OPD, call the mayor, call City Council, call Nicole Elliott, and let them know that we're not here to kill people. We don't want to get shot. We're here to sell medicine.
Yeah.
We're here to enhance people's lives. Thank you, everyone.
Woo! Okay.